Welcome, and thank you for pressing play. I'm Crystal Bergfield, and this is Back to School with Crystal Bergfield. Throughout history, great teachers have stepped forward to help show us the way to coexist in society. They have urged us to consider our role in community. Just like those teachers, I am offering up my knowledge and experience to contribute to a just, responsible, and innovative United States. Through storytelling, interviews, and in-depth discussions, I will dive into the issues that plague our society and highlight new ideas that could contribute to a healthy nation. This podcast is part of a larger curriculum to educate Americans about our society. Find your seat, take a breath, and prepare to expand your mind, your heart, and your reality. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Back to School with Crystal Bergfield. This week's episode is entitled, Who's in Charge Here? We get to dive into the money trail of taxes. I'm asking who decides where our tax money is spent and who is responsible for our money. I was raised to be a steward of my money. At an early age, I was given an allowance for the work I did. Young ones, get ready. Each day, I had a set of responsibilities to accomplish, and each week, there were larger projects to complete. By a ripe age of 10 years old, I was making my bed and tidying up my room every day, helping with my younger brother, cleaning the house with my older brother, taking turns cooking dinner, milking our goats, giving all 40 of them baths, feeding them, and cleaning the manure from the barn. At the age of 12, I had weekend jobs babysitting, cleaning houses, and helping with my mom's school projects. Yeah, I was working hard at an early age, but I was also making money. My parents instilled in me the discipline to be a steward of this money. I was responsible to divide my money up by what was to save, to spend, and to give away. This early education of responsibility to money has served me throughout my life. Even when times were tough, I was able to navigate the difficulties because I had the tools. When I moved into my first apartment alone at 18 and rent was crazy, I started working at a restaurant while I was going to school. When that one job wasn't enough to cover my expenses, I cut down on expenses by eating a lot of pasta and discount meals, and I got a second job as a grocery store cashier. I share this story to illustrate what being a steward of money looks like. Money is just a tool. It's an energy exchange that we use in our society to get what we need to have a comfortable life. Now, let's talk about the stewards of our money. We, as tax-paying citizens, have our allotment, and we are required by law to give a portion of our money to the society in which we live to ensure that we have what we need to live a comfortable life. Taxes pay for infrastructure like roads, our protection like police and military, interest for our collective debt, social services to care for the young, elderly, and veterans, and our money does so much more. Our individual income tax alone tallies over $1.5 trillion. We are collectively paying in a huge chunk of change for our government leaders to spend at their discretion. That's right. Our tax dollars go into a pot, and our government leaders are the stewards of our money. Congress, the President, and his staff work together to complete the budget of the United States government that determines federal spending for each fiscal year. The budget allocates more than $4 trillion in federal government spending. And this spending is broken down into three categories: mandatory, discretionary, and interest on the national debt. Head over to Patreon for my breakdown on this spending, the actual money trail. So, our leaders get to decide where our money goes, which is why we study our government leaders to understand their stewardship, their relationship with money. Oh, you don't? Oh, we have a president who has filed for bankruptcy 6 times? And over 10 advisors of his have committed some type of money-related crime? Okay, people, these folks have trillions of dollars of ours to spend. How did we not see this one coming? The problem I've noticed in our government, with so many rich folks in charge of things, is that they are not stewards of money at all. In fact, when you are wealthy, you pay people to take care of your money. And you spend it without a care because you are making so much back in dividends that it doesn't matter if you lose $1,000 or $1 million. But for our tax dollars, that 1,000 or 1 million or the trillions we have in our deficit matters. It matters when our HUD secretary is spending $35,000 on office renovations when he is also cutting the budget from reaching those the money is supposed to serve. It's outrageous that private contractors are able to charge the highest dollar to our government for services. Last time I checked, a money-smart steward would be looking for the best deal for the people. But that doesn't happen when folks who don't have an understanding of how their lack of stewardship trickles throughout our system and affects us all. Let's talk about what decisions the President and Congress are making around our money. To be clear, the Executive Office of Management and Budget prepares the budget for the President. Did you know about this department, the Executive Office of Management and Budget? It employs over 500 employees to manage hundreds of agencies and commissions that employ another 4.3 million people. Let that sink in. With over 500 employees, how are we still drowning in debt? Has no one taken the initiative to ask why and how? It seems somewhere along the line there should be auditors ensuring that our government is a good steward to the people. This means that everyone touching money should be a good steward. And in an ever-changing world where stewardship to money is becoming nostalgia, I'm not hopeful. When I was in the Army, I was a purchaser for my unit and battalion. I went and shopped for all of our goods. Seeing a price tag for plastic sunglasses at over $100 blew my mind. Sunglasses, which cost less than $1 to produce, were being sold to our government for over $100 a pair. For each soldier. That's waste. And that's what I'm talking about. A total ignorance for money stewardship. Nobody is asking, hey, can we get another deal when it comes to these $100 glasses? Because the military has a budget of over $700 billion. But those sunglasses matter. It all matters. The question begs, do we have auditors? The Treasury Department and the New York Federal Reserve Bank have been repeatedly subpoenaed for a failure to submit documentation about contingency planning for the debt ceiling. But when it comes to auditing, nobody is asking, why are we spending $100 per soldier on sunglasses? And no one is demanding that the HUD secretary return his new office furnishings. In fact, nobody gives a shit that Trump has a golden toilet to shit in when 39 million Americans live below the poverty line. This topic gets me riled up, folks. Let me share a few facts from the Balance website concerning our 2017 budget. These are just a few numbers to put things into perspective for you. And each of these statistics are sharing what we would personally be giving through the tax dollars that we are spending. The average taxpayer contributed $240 to Lockheed Martin through the Department of Defense. Lockheed Martin is one private contractor for defense, and that is more than twice as much as the $112 that taxpayers contributed to child nutrition programs, including school breakfast and lunch. The average taxpayer paid $190 for all diplomacy and foreign aid, compared to 18 times as much, that's $4,328 each for the Pentagon and military. While nearly 24 cents of every tax dollar supports the Pentagon and military, just 5 cents goes to our troops in the form of pay. While nearly 24 cents of every tax dollar supports the Pentagon and military, just 5 cents goes to our troops in the form of pay and other benefits. The average taxpayer contributed just $580 to education, including K-12 education, higher education, and vocational training. Taxpayers contributed $426 for income support programs for veterans. A few more. The average taxpayer contributed just $80 in 2017 to temporary assistance for needy families, better known as welfare. For the record, $80 for welfare, compared to $4,328 for the Pentagon and military. You are not spending all of your hard-earned money on other people's welfare. Taxpayers contributed an average of $3,533 for Medicaid and Medicare, providing insurance for 1 in 3 Americans. We'll get into more of this next month. I'm sharing these facts to shed a little light on the money spent and to illuminate the fact that we don't have a say in where our money goes. We elect officials in hopes that they are responsible stewards, hoping that they can put our tax dollars where we need them. But in all accounts, they are failing. It's a hot mess and a huge bill that we are footing. Debate.org has a poll showing that 89% of people think that we should have control over taxes, while 11% think we should not. Whether we should have control or not, absolutely, those who work with money should be accountable to the money and to us, the citizens. How can we correct course? What's the cure? I'll be pondering this, asking experts, and get back to you in a few weeks. Until then, some homework. Take a moment to Google our federal budget. And some tips for Googling. Check the sources and look for unbiased resources. Also, check out our government websites. The government has a responsibility for honesty in reporting. Check that out. Then check a few other sources to see if the numbers add up. Is our government being held accountable? The other piece of homework for the week is to look into your own budget. Start the path toward becoming a steward of your own money. It's a lot easier for us to throw insults at the government for their irresponsibility when we have our shit together. Learn how to create a simple budget and then take note of all your expenses. Where are you overspending? Where have you overlooked expenses that are adding to your personal debt? When we start to understand money more, we become more responsible, and that does only great things for our future financial situation. Have a wonderful week. Keep shining, keep grinding, and stay curious. Thank you for taking your time and energy to look into our collective finances. We can absolutely do better when we know better. If you want to learn more, head over to Patreon, support me, and support your own learning. And for those who have a balanced budget and are stewards of your money, I ask that you give to my campaign. I am doing the work, a true steward, and will use your money wisely, now and in the White House.